Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. We are from the Tandem Collective. My name is Laura, and I have here my colleagues Aurora and Lucy. And today we'll be talking about how to maximize your social media presence on Instagram and TikTok. At Tandem, we are a digital marketing agency, and we focus on content creators and micro-influencer outreach. We talked a lot about communities and the importance of communities this morning. I really feel that we should think about communities not just at the marketing stage, but we should really think about it at acquisition stage. At Tandem, we have a presence on TikTok and Instagram, and we have a very solid multi-territory newsletter database that we'll leverage to encourage what we talk about when we describe our read-alongs that Lucy will be describing to you in a second. The most important thing for us is that our followers don't see us as a marketing agency. They consider us as a trusted part of the community. We are content creators ourselves, and we inspire what we call peer-to-peer advocacy. For us, it's not about creating marketing content. It's really engaging with the content of the books and creating experiences online around them. Our team at Tandem is comprised of publishing experts. A lot of us have worked for HarperCollins, PanMac, Hachette, and we have social media content creators. So we can combine a very good understanding of publishing priorities as well as an understanding of the platforms, changing an algorithm on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. For publishers, we develop social media trends and updates. We look at how the changes in algorithm influence the creation of content. And what we do is devise platform-specific campaigns on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Discord, WhatsApp, and we also ensure that we create also hybrid campaign where we see TikTok content also being transferred and shared on Instagram, for example. We leverage the latest functionality recently, and Aurora will be talking about that in a second. We'll be leveraging TikTok Lives for the creation of a real book talk live experience and a real sort of book club experience around book lovers on TikTok. Over time, we've built a list of advocates and ambassadors on a number of different social media platforms, from the US and Canada all the way through Europe and Brazil, Mexico, the Netherlands, Italy, France, and even Japan. So we have an international communities, and as you know, brand authors tend to travel across multiple territories, so we ensure that our campaigns are as multi-territory as international as possible.
So we wanted to start by putting two questions to you all. So firstly, after how many followers do you think that we start to see a dip in engagement on Instagram? When we talk about engagement in this context, we mean likes and comments in ratio to follower count. So your options are 5,000, 10,000, or 20,000. We'd just love to see a show of hands if you think 5,000 is when we start to see a dip. Okay, 10,000 and 20. Okay. Same question, but different platform. After how many followers do you think that we start to see a dip in engagement on TikTok? So slightly different options this time. How many of you think after 10,000? How many of you think after 50,000? And how many of you think after 80,000? Okay, interesting. So the answers are, in fact, after 5,000 followers for Instagram and 50,000 for TikTok, where we would anticipate to see a dip in engagement. It's a really common misconception in the marketing and publishing spaces that more followers automatically means better engagement. This simply is not the case. It's much more valuable to have a campaign with 40,000 collective followers and a 30% engagement rate than a campaign with 90,000 collective followers and a 5% engagement rate. This is because micro-influencers, or what we would call micro-influencers, are much closer to their audiences and in turn have a presence that feels more interactive and reciprocal with their followers. Hello Society found that micro-influencer campaigns see 60% higher engagement rates than those with larger followings. So the ratio of likes and comments to followers starts to peak when an account has around 5,000 followers, and any more than 100,000, and that's when engagement starts to flatten out. Our own data shows the same. Some of the smallest accounts that we work with actually see the highest conversion. So for example, accounts with under 1,000 followers have an average conversion of 1.46%, compared to accounts with over 21,000 followers, which have an average conversion rate of only 0.61%. Small emerging accounts are even more eager to engage and post, and this is what Tandem's entire community is based on. So when we talk about the Tandem community, what exactly do we mean? As you've heard, Tandem Collective is an agency that specializes in online audience development and community-led marketing campaigns, which we run through Instagram and TikTok. Our community of book lovers is at the heart of everything we do, and we were actually founded through a combination of community demand and client needs, rather than any intellectual foresight. 5 years ago, we were approached by a publisher to run our first paperback campaign. So they had a very minimal budget, and we just had a handful of aims to meet: social buzz, visual content, and author care. Set over 4 hours, we embarked on an experimental real-time read-along on Instagram, working with 20 micro-influencers. Question cards were hidden within the pages of the book that we sent out to everyone, and the group posted on Instagram every time they reached a specific prompt, tagging the author and the publisher. The result was a high level of social buzz, excitement, and author awareness, all shared via social media, but through the power of word of mouth. To date, we've run over 1,000 read-alongs globally. We spent the first few years running campaigns for Anglophone territories and publishers, but last year was a really exciting turning point for us as we ran our first multi-territory campaign for Don Winslow's City on Fire. This was a global read-along that took place across 11 countries and 7 different languages, with readers participating from Spain, Mexico, Japan, Sweden, and Australia, among others. We saw fantastic results from this, and this shows that when a community is united in its values and is creating meaningful user-generated content, it gives rise to that wonderful word-of-mouth ripple effect, and in this campaign, we saw that happen across the globe. So what is it that makes the read-alongs so successful? We tried to make them as immersive as possible, so implementing ideas or creative challenges that will evoke the other senses, such as taste and smell, and we are fortunate in that we've collaborated with some really high-profile authors. But ultimately, it is our community who are the driving force behind the read-alongs and who we are always learning from. We're continually gathering insights and feedback from read-along participants, and we actively seek their input with creative pitches, read-along questions, and the content that we put out on Tandem's social channels. With all the advancements of AI and other technology that surround us at the moment, it's important to remember that peer-to-peer marketing is so powerful because it's not a fad, it's human behavior, and this is what gives it its edge. We believe there is nothing more valuable than an engaged community that will ultimately become a marketing tool in itself, in a way that's both genuine and holistic. So by working with micro-influencers rather than only accounts with a large following, we have built an established community of authentic book lovers, and we often receive over 100 applications per individual read-along. So we only have campaign participants who are genuinely interested, and this is what drives all the activity. Our own social media platforms have seen rapid growth over the last 4 years, and we believe this is down to an authentic appreciation of books and the opportunity for our followers to meet like-minded members of the Bookstagram and BookTok communities. Our community is so intrinsic to the activity that we run that we've actually recruited members of the Tandem community to join our team professionally. Most of our team are members of the Bookstagram and BookTok communities, and this enables us to keep up with the latest social media trends, share knowledge, and cross-promote. If the community acts as our mouthpiece, the team acts as our brand, and having them at the forefront of everything we do helps to further build our following. We have an internal newsletter that discusses existing sounds and trends on social media, which informs the creative challenges for read-alongs, making sure that everything we are asking of our read-along participants is both current and relevant. Our social media content sits alongside our peers on Bookstagram, so it doesn't feel like we are a hard sell, but leans into our ethos of peer-to-peer marketing. As a startup, we were mainly working with UK publishers and Bookstagrammers who are UK-based for the first few years, but now Tandem has established a global Bookstagram community, and we have a dedicated Tandem Collective global IG page to sit along our UK equivalent. To support the global community, we have a team of global and UK ambassadors who act as advocates for us by shouting about Tandem and supporting the read-along activity. We've held in-person Bookstagram meetups with ambassadors in Cape Town, Spain, and London, and our ambassadors are a source of incredibly valuable feedback by advising us the titles that they would love to read next so that we can put speculative pitches together to actually take to publishers. As newer social media platforms such as Be Real and Discord have been introduced, Instagram has had to work to keep up with the latest trends. So the introduction of Reels on Instagram is a nod to TikTok and allows users to share vertical video content. Reels allow us to include a more playful element to the creative challenges that we include in our read-alongs, and inspires content such as show us your read-along setup or a character POV reel, where we actually ask readers to film their reaction, impersonating as a character from the book we're reading.
We are going to be talking about TikTok right now. At Tandem, as Lucy said, we started our read-alongs on Instagram, but we were able to develop a very quickly formula to replicate that read-along on TikTok, which is a very different platform. And we realized when we joined TikTok a few years back. The short-length videos means eye-catching content, quick content, and we want the community and our followers to interact with to get good engagement. In order to achieve that good engagement, we challenge them in the cards that we send them for the read-along to create content that is currently being active and it's trending. Like, for example, creating an unboxing video of the book you are receiving from Tandem, and especially if it's a mail-out, you get a few different items related to the book, and that's a very easy content to create, and it's quite engaging. Also, we challenge them to create videos about what would your dream cast be about these characters if this book was to be made a movie, for example. We have recently been using VIP TikTokers, which we brief them a very specific content we want to see from them in exchange of a fee. This is where the distinction between the two platforms lays. That way, what we ask from them is like Read With Me lives, which keeps the momentum going for the read-along, gets a higher engagement from the community, and we also want them to promote the book we are promoting at the moment. A few tips from us for TikTok would be to engage always with the community. Just like and comment every post, or as much posts as possible, and share when you can. It's always very good to do lives, read with me lives, which aren't read with me lives as such. It's just like a book club discussion where participants of the read-along can discuss the questions we have asked, or they can, raise any other topics that we might have not covered on the cards. And it's a very good way to engage with other TikTokers and make friends at the end of the day. It's also very important from Tandem to ask them for a specific content based on the book that we are promoting. So when we are talking about your ideal cast would be about specific characters, or when we are asking participants to react to a specific passage of the book would be about that book, obviously. And then last but not least, Tandem is part of the community. As Laura said, they don't see us as a marketing agency, sorry. We are content creators ourselves. We create content for pretty much every single platform. So we ask them things that we are doing as well. So we know that what we are asking is obviously doable and that it works. I think you mentioned it before. We have an internal newsletter with the trending styles and sounds from TikTok that also work really well on Instagram. We try to add as much as we can in our challenges and questions we ask, because we know that that's what's working at the moment. So a few of them, they all work. This was on Monday's newsletter, so this is the latest trends. Would be like the post-it notes trend, would be highlighting or tabbing or just annotating your book. That's so popular at the moment, I cannot express how much. It's aesthetically pleasing to the eye to see a book all tabbed in different colors depending on the moment. If it was a romantic moment or an enemies to lover thing, it's quite pleasing and very popular. Another thing would be beautiful covers. For example, my 3 top beautiful covers that I own, or spread edges, or special editions, something that is out of the normal paperback edition. 10 things I hate about, for example, enemies to lover, or 10 things that I hate about books that end with a cliffhanger, That's very popular as well. There are a few more, like show me your current read. It's very easy content to create, and it does very well. These contents are very dynamic and engaging. So you are more likely to have a higher engagement rate from the community when you follow the trends. Like perfect reading setup, book hauls, unboxings. Unboxings are a great way to see the creativity of the content creator. It's such a simple video to make because you are just really unpacking a parcel that you just got on the mail, but it does very, very well because people always want to see what other people has got. So that's one of the top ones. So now I've got a question for you. How can you guys, as publishers, marketers, and content creators, maximize your presence on social media, both Instagram and TikTok? These are a few tips that Tandem Collective uses in their day-to-day content. Whatever the platform you're using, your content has to be consistent, cohesive, aesthetic, like pleasing to the eye, and has to have personality. When you have your own style, the community starts seeing you as a familiar face and someone to trust, and your content would be more easily identifiable for them when you have a consistent way of taking pictures or posting about different content. Photos with attention to detail are more likely to have a higher engagement rate. They don't have to be out of the ordinary. They don't have to be professional. Just maybe the right lighting or the book cover being center makes such a difference. Find your niche, and this is so easy. You can just use, for example, Instagram or TikTok stories. You can just create a poll and ask your followers in your community what they want to see. It might be a book review or it might be a book haul. It's so easy to know and understand what they want to see from you and the content that actually interests them. That obviously will give you a higher engagement rate. Don't use the same hashtags in every post because the platforms, Instagram and TikTok, see that as spam. What you can do is to use 3 to 4 hashtags in your caption and then comment yourself on your post with some more generic hashtags like Bookstagram, book community, book lover, and things like that. We all know that the algorithm has changed quite a lot, and now saves and shares are more important or have more visibility than likes and comments. So if you see a reel with a nice song in the background, or you like the way the video has been done, you like the template, just save it and share it if you can, because that way that post will get more visibility. And it can go, for example, on TikTok in the For You page, which is, quite nice. It can get even, viral. And lastly, book stacks work really well. You can use themed book stacks based on the same color, like blue stacks, or thriller stacks based on genre. And then you can use props and create like Two for Tuesday or Pink Wednesday. Book stacks are very pleasing to the eye. They always do well, and it's not a very difficult content to create because in the caption you can just use a hashtag. That's quite it works really well.
So when we think about communities, at the Tandem Collective, we talk about our 3 Cs, and these are client, community, and collective. Our clients are publishers and authors. Now, we don't recommend every publisher and every author to create their own Instagram account or their TikTok account, because as we discussed, it's really important that you have the time and the energy to then invest on these platforms. So if you decide as a publisher or as an author to create your own accounts, then as Aurora said, it will need to be consistent, have a clear branding. Otherwise, if it is not the space you want to inhabit, you can still work with content creators, and the Tandem Collective can help you with that, because we can help you establish that connection with the community of content creators based on a specific niche or a specific interest in an author or a specific genre. Our community is the community of content creators. Really interesting how we developed on Instagram. The Bookstagram community across a number of different territories really see us as a sort of a book club. They want to take part in the read-along, they want to be part of this online reading experience, and they apply for a read-along, as Lucy just explained. And for the ones that they don't make it to the final cut, so the ones that don't receive the book for free from the publisher, we can still retarget the ones that have applied for the read-along, encourage them to buy the book, and still take part in the read-along. So in this way, there is this retargeting opportunity, and we have people that have expressed an interest in that specific book. So we know who to target, because that's the other thing that often happens at publishing houses. We tend to send out books to a number of different content creators without understanding exactly the niche or understanding exactly what they're interested in. They tell us what they're interested in. We select a number of them based on their collective follow account, and then the ones that don't make it into the final cut to be part of the collective reading experience can still buy the book. As I said, they see us as part of their community. That's why they work with us. And the same thing goes with TikTok. TikTok has been a trial and error, so we wanted to replicate, as Aurora said, the same experience that we had on Instagram. We quickly understood that we had to pivot and change slightly the way the read-along was working on TikTok. That's why we've done a series of Read With Me Live, selecting, for example, 5 VIP book talkers that would do Read With Me lives over 5 days, and then we would have a community of book talkers that would be part of the activity. Again, they work with us because they recognize us as creators. They respond to people in our team because they see them on TikTok as well. So there is that organic experience. A lot of publishers tell us, we're so bored of seeing, sometimes unboxing that just feel like marketing content. What they like about the experience that we create is that, these are real people reading books and really sharing what they feel when they're reading that specific book. It's really recreating online a book club experience. And finally, we are also a collective, so this is also a way in which we sort of maximize our social media presence. We're a community of freelancers and content creators, and as I said, this is where the relationship with the content creators and the community on TikTok and Instagram takes place. They recognize it as, we're part of the community. So some of our initiatives are, as Lucy mentioned, read-alongs, but we also have what we call author care package. You all know that, we're not just talking about a launch-based approach. We're not just launching a hardback. Very often we're launching a hardback, a paperback after 6 months. We're also cross-promoting, we talked about it this morning, audiobooks and ebooks. So when we offer an author care package, we talk about an offering that's a year-long experience for a specific author or for a specific title that creates micro moments alongside the timeline of a book release. So it goes from hardback, ebook, audiobook release, up to the paperback. If there are key moments, for example, media moments or PR releases or extra content that the author has created, we support the publisher to create activities with the communities of TikTokers and Instagrammers across all the different milestones of a book publishing journey. We also offer social media training, and we offer social media training for authors, for publishers, but we also offer them to the community of content creators because, as Aurora said, if they need to create very, very high standard content, we can support them to learn how to have the best lighting, how to use the best photography. So we support the community, we support the client, publisher and author with social media training. We create what we call event packages. So as we all know, publishing houses have their priorities, and a lot of publishing houses have what they call event publication or lead publication. So we work with publishers to create long pre-awareness campaigns. We work with publishers on 8-month, 18-month pre-awareness campaigns where we activate the community with hundreds of micro-creators on Instagram and TikTok ahead of release, to then create word of mouth ahead of launch. And we've been doing this successfully, particularly for debut authors. We work with HarperCollins across a number of different territories. For The Maid by Nita Prose, it then become a massive bestseller. So for us, event packages are packages that support, in particularly debut, that are considered by a publishing house priority titles. We also have what we call a freelancer hub. This is a vertical that we created for the community of freelancers. And we also have Tandem Talks podcast. We talked this morning about the importance of leveraging a number of different platforms. And we talked about the importance of podcasts. So we wanted to also invest in this specific vertical. And we work closely with brand partners, ensuring that we reach what we call a reach audience. So we have our community of core readers on Instagram and TikTok, but then we work with a chocolate company. We do pairing pages with wine partners to reach what we call that reach audience, so a broader audience that might still be readers, but they're not necessarily in the book talk, Bookstagram space, talking about books all the time. We often, when we talk about brand partnership, we talk about a Venn diagram. So we know that these people are interested in wine, and they are also interested in books. So we find that really soft spot between the interest in a specific brand and books, and sort of create activity. As I said, pairing pages, we've worked on snack along, and we've done clean along, and we've done a number of different activities that tap into the content of the books and, you know, create a fun environment for readers, because we talked about it this morning. What we're offering as publisher, it is a reading experience, but we very much work in the entertainment environment. So what we're doing with our read-alongs is creating that immersive experience that bring readers in a book club world. And the read-alongs had a massive success. This morning we talked about the impact of the pandemic, had a massive success during the pandemic when these communities wanted to get together, to read together. That's why we created DM groups where people could talk about it behind the scenes. It was interesting this morning to hear about the 6 spaces of social media, talking about, you know, private spaces, group spaces where people can talk without necessarily sharing. And one of the things that we do with our creative challenges is offering challenges that, you know, creators would share on social publicly. And, you know, these are things that they would do on stories, on Reel, on TikTok. But we also create private discussions on Instagram DM groups, where sometimes we also invite the authors, or Discord, or WhatsApp. We have also WhatsApp broadcasts where we send them exclusive voice notes from the authors. So we create a more private, exclusive experience, whilst at the same time leveraging that word of mouth, ensuring that people taking part in the read-alongs shout about these books and share their experience with the broadest possible audience. And we talked about the importance of niche. So one of the things that we've been doing is looking at the different niche. Romance, of course, now is one of the big genre, and romantasy in particular. So we run a romance readathon where we're working with a specific with a specific publisher across 6 different titles in the romance space. And we activated a massive community in the UK on TikTok and Instagram to be part of this reading experience. So in a nutshell, this is what we do. This is our way of maximizing the content creation economy. We call it peer-to-peer marketing. We stepped away from the concept of influencer marketing, because a lot of these creators are one of us, and we talk a lot about, when, for example, we look at Nielsen BookScan data, we know that word of mouth is still such a powerful tool, and that's what we try to activate at the Tandem Collective, is that real word of mouth and, with the community. And we've been doing this globally, which has been really interesting, because one of the feedback they originally had from international publishers was, because as Lucy said, we started in the UK and the US. So how do you know that this is going to work in Germany, in Spain, in Mexico? With the activation with Don Winslow and then Karen Slaughter, we worked on sort of multi-territory campaign, and we've seen that behaviors tend to be very, very similar on TikTok and Instagram across multiple territories. So this is us. Thank you so much for listening. And do you have any questions?
How does a read-along happen? What do you do? So you send out a box with the book?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, the way we organize a read-along, for example, if we're doing a hybrid read-along on Instagram and TikTok, we send out a newsletter on a Friday asking people if they'd be interested in a specific book. We decide with the publisher the collective follower count. So we decided, for example, this is going to be a campaign that involves 100 bookstagrammers for a collective follower count of over 300,000, because, as Lucy said, we tend to work with accounts that have between 2,500 and 5,000 followers to ensure that we have the highest level of engagement. On Instagram, engagement rate for paid advertising is 4.7%. Our campaign goes above 11% because of selecting micro-influencers. So we decide the collective follower count. By Monday, we will have a list of bookstagrammers that will fulfill the objective of this collective follower account. They receive the book from us or directly from the publisher's warehouse, and we then select a start date. We tend to read books over 7 days. If it's a standard fiction title of 280 pages, if it's a non-fiction title, there's a bit more, that requires more reading. Sometimes we do it over 2 weeks. And at the same time, we might also activate the book talk community with Read With Me lives and having a series of book talkers that also take part in the initiative. As I said, there is a group of people that will receive the book for free from the publisher, and we've agreed the number of people that will receive the book for free. All these people will receive challenges that they need to do at a specific time during the reading experience. So, for example, at page 7, you create your dream cast. At page 124, you create your point of view video. Page 210, you discuss a specific topic about that moment, and that creates organic conversations. This is why we're doing it, is because it's sort of going beyond the marketing content that's sort of so easily spotted and recognized and doesn't have the level of engagement. And as I said, what we do then is the retargeting. So people that haven't received the book for free will buy it. That's our key KPI. We retarget them. They buy the book. They still take part in the activity, and they create conversations online. We include them in DM groups on Instagram, on Discord. They receive content, exclusive content on WhatsApp. And, for example, in Italy, platform like Telegram is really popular, so we're also ensuring that we're present on the right platforms across different territories.
Well, I don't know.
A few very quick detailed questions. Number one, how many members in your collective do you have? Number two, you have a relationship with bookshop.org as an outlet. I would be interested in understanding what you are doing with bookshop.org. Number three is, you also work with self-published authors. And last point, did I understand correctly that you are not active in the German language markets, or is
Okay, so I am going to start with self-published authors. Yes, we also worked with self-published authors. Our client base tend to be publishers, but we also have experience with self-published authors. The activation will be really similar for them, and they will decide with us if they want to have an activation on Instagram or TikTok or hybrid activation. In terms of our database, we have a subscription base of 10,000 in our newsletter for the UK, and then we have, according to the different territories, we have 3,000 in Italy, we have 5,000 in all the Spanish-speaking territories, so we have then territory-specific a database. In terms of our Instagram presence, now
23,000.
23,000 for the UK, and then we also have an Instagram presence that we call it global. They also have, for our South African and Indian and Canadian creators. The other question is, yes, we have relationship with the bookshop.org. On our website, we have we feature digital prompt cards. These are the cards that content creators need to download when they're reading the book and different passages. On that page, there is also a link to the bookshop.org for that specific title. So that creates a click-through rate to the bookshop.org, and all our links to retailers on our Tandem website link through bookshop.org. I've answered all the questions. German language. So for Don Whistler and Karen Slaughter, we've done a campaign with HarperCollins Germany. We're now in conversation with a number of different German publishers because we really think that there is a potential. I really love how even Thalia, they have book talk videos and screens in store. I mean, there is really fantastic potential in the German market. The community is really, really active, and the Karen Slaughter experience in Germany was really fantastic.
Thank you. And Nancy had a question as well. Yes. Okay. Okay, that's fine.
Thank you. First of all, super impressive. I'm very excited to hear more about this. I'm curious about how you do this for listen-alongs, because I saw on your site that you had audio as well. How does this marketing strategy for communities apply to audiobooks and eventually podcasts?
Yes.
Yeah.
So exactly the same way that we established the read-along formula, but rather than recipients receiving a physical copy of the book, they will receive a link to the audio book, but exact same principle. So at specific chapter marks or points in the audio tracks, they will have to post content or answer questions or do creative challenges on social. It's really interesting as well because now that we've been active, particularly in the UK for so long, we've identified the subsets of our community. So we know who our big audio fans are. We know who is, big into audiobooks and podcasts. Our audio-specific newsletter as well has actually got the highest open rate. So that, kind of very active and engaged community. And then just touching on this morning's talk about accessibility. So again, linking to our community and the community feedback, we're seeing more and more demand for a hybrid. So kind of a hybrid read and listen along model where participants would read some chapters in either a physical copy or an ebook and listen to some via the audio. So yeah, the listen along activity is already underway. So yeah, and it's something that we see really good results from.
Yeah, I mean, I do wrap-ups for all of the campaigns, and when we have a listen along, people really appreciate it because they are busy in the day-to-day, and they really appreciate being able to read a book and participate in a community while washing the dishes or vacuuming the floor. So I think it's growing every time more. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.